encompasses legal economic activities that operate outside formal regulations and social protections. It includes...
Pause. Read over the first part.
Encompasses legal economic activities that operate outside formal regulations and social protections.
Now the PMP have an argument to go around, sir. Say how the government only build out the macroeconomy, but the microeconomy aspect of things nah trickle down. Squitty, that is a grand lie from the pit of hell. Now, Squitty,
yeah.
You see the informal economy of Jamaica comprise the business them or the hustle them, where me and you call hustling, meaning people go out in the streets. The man who sell soup at the roadside.
Yeah.
The man who sell the peanut porridge. The youth at the front will have the pine and the apple, the pineapple and the orange and the grape. Yeah. These people, Squitty, are who find themselves in what you call legal informal economy. Can you even use the BPO sector to tell you how informal economy benefit? Now, the more Jamaicans go out to work daily, when other Jamaicans want to earn fast cash, or what we call quick money, through what you call hustling, they tend to take it to major towns or major cities. Now, what type of activities normally takes place in major towns and major cities? Well, sometimes commerce. But besides of commerce, here's a form of business where our activity will help the informal economy. Commuters. So you see the fact that commuters are the same people who board public passenger vehicle or just generally take transportation to the town to go to work. Now, when these people have to traverse through major towns, remember me tell you, say a lot of Jamaicans, in telling themselves they want to earn a quick money, them say them are go juggle in the streets. But they're not just go in the streets go juggle so usually. Them tend to pick the fast, small towns or major towns and cities. No, these cities not only have people who come by, these cities have people who traverse or that traverses through them daily to go to them workplace at different place and some to even different parishes. What type of businesses usually benefit from these activities? Okay, so the restaurant, because the guy has to get up so early all time yard. No, the restaurant, the man at the roadside we say we have a little heater, the little electric kettle and so forth. We sell tea at the roadside. Him part of the informal economy. So the more Jamaicans that go to work, him coming from work late, him have to wake up early. Him have to consume. So the fact that him have to consume, the man in the informal economy provide where you are going to consume. So it takes you even want no meat and a vegetable you want and sitting or fruit. Even the man at the roadside will sell the cane, the man will sell the orange, the man will sell the pine, the man will sell the apple. You make up what is called the informal economy and can be found in the macroeconomy of Jamaica in some sense. So the more the government builds out the macroeconomy, it trickles down to the informal economy. And the informal economy has a high percentage of Jamaicans in it we earn. Now the last time I checked, I stand corrected. The informal economy of Jamaica contributes somewhere to 40% to the national GDP. That for sure is the amount of activity where take place in the informal economy benefit national GDP. For example, again, a man will raise a chicken, the person will raise a chicken, and so forth, and the man will raise a goat. Them not always register for raise goat and so. Them not have a farmer's ID, but when time the macroeconomy requires the meat from fame thing, him a go earn, so you still a earn. So the more the economy they build out, it require more people who want food. So the demand in a food typically comes in the form of formal economy, meaning registered restaurants, established restaurants, but also unestablished and also unregistered people who probably have food and glass permit. We give them the legal authority to sell food, but don't have an official registered business. You know what I mean? For example, in a town, in a Kingston, you will have some man a walk and sell box food in the town. Who usually buy these box foods in the town? The people them in the town where do the higgling and sell. These people benefit or expect to benefit from people who go work their money, not scammers only. No, these people earn from where them sell to people who go work their money and also come buy back from them. So the more the government builds out the macroeconomy, it trickle down to the informal economy. Probably them feel that the government explain them itself to them. They say them a benefit. But what they do is deny the reality to believe with them here. Now how to show you that the informal economy is really earning? Well, you have a thing called ledger. Ledger activity, an activity where you can say compriser or you go amuse yourself or go lime, go have a drink, go watch a movie and so forth. That finding yourself in your cash book as not compulsory expense, that a ledger expense. But what usually contribute to people having ledger expense? We work and in the formal economy. Well, disposable income. Disposable income, Squitty, mean the money where you have left after you take care of your priority expenses, meaning your bills, you're picking the school money for the week, and all them things there. But the government today, I help Jamaicans have a higher disposable income, therefore giving them a better spending power. Probably not always a higher, but a better spending power. Well, automatically higher spending power. How? So the government, for example, you in the formal economy, you're expected to have legal water, legal electricity on your premises. The government flashed GCT from 15% on electricity to 7%. Therefore, you're going to burn the same 10 fund, but you're going to pay less for your light bill. The government makes sure so them increase your minimum wage. So you earn more while you're paying less. Therefore, your disposable income goes up. What does that mean for your disposable income? Well, it means that your spending power go up. So you have more money, can go toy around with. Yes, T-O-Y, toy around or ramp with. So you have a money now, can go at the bar, go have a drink. After you take care of your household, take care of your goods at your yard, make sure say food in your yard, the bill pay, the Wi-Fi bill pay, the rent pay, the car have gas, the insurance, the license. So that is the disposable income. Now when the government help you by making sure say no new taxes, all right? So therefore, businesses are not forced to raise the cost of goods and services and therefore setting up inflation higher than it is. So the government do its part by making sure say one, reduce the consumption cost from electricity. Two, increase the amount of money we expect to earn. Also, maintaining a no new tax policy. All this is to benefit the average man or the average income earner or just generally the low income earner. Mark Golding will not tell you that. Why? If Mark Golding tell you that, him basically confirms that the government are going good. So what Mark Golding have to go do? Tell you say that now happen because you don't understand say that happen. So you believe Mark Golding. But Squitty in my landing in 30 seconds to prove that the disposable income of Jamaicans have given them a higher spending power. Well, Squitty, the volume of leisure activity in Jamaica higher than anywhere else in the English-speaking Caribbean. Meaning, in Jamaica, more Jamaicans go party than anywhere else in the English-speaking Caribbean. What type of money you spend to go party? Well, Squitty, whole heap of money. You have to somebody tell the Jamaican them pay to go spend and then go and buy the alcohol them 2 times the regular price. That means them can afford to do more because spending power gone up. Land this.
Give me the next 2 minutes, Augusto.
No.
So you have information I hide up, brother. People want to hear these things.
No. I have it buried in something. And I mean,
Yeah, man,
what we saw.
things, man.
Yeah, what we saw is that with all of what Gustav has said, we saw where the government would have. There was a time, Squitty, when we had income tax as a big burden on the Jamaican people, where every single year, when a budget is to be read, the people of Jamaica were beginning to start having issues and start to have nightmare and anxiety to say what is going to be taxed next. And every year you would hear either that the income tax threshold would have reduced, or you would have heard that some things that would have been put onto some things would be taxed. Gas and cards, flour, GCT increase are a number of things added to the list of things to be increased under GCT.
More people have pressure because they wonder what ever is.
That's right. So when Audley Shaw was campaigning in opposition, he campaigned on a policy that is going to increase the
GCT, the income tax threshold to $1.5 million. And the PMP had a field day to say to Audley that this was not possible. And it would bust the budget and it would do a number of things. And not only did he campaign on increasing the income tax threshold, he also campaigned on reducing interest rate by getting cheaper money to borrow so that the interest rate at the central bank can be reduced so that people can get money at cheaper rates to borrow. And everybody the PMP was all over the place telling them how that wasn't possible. When Arley became minister, Bruce Coleman became prime minister, and Arley became finance minister, we saw the income tax threshold increase to $1.5 million. We also saw interest rate taking a downward trajectory. At one point, I think it was about 15 to 17%. And he was able to bring it down to single digits. And not only did he increase the income tax threshold, reduce interest rate to single digit, but he also did that with no new taxes. Right? No new net taxes on the people. And what we saw, having moved on to 2016, when the Jamaica Labour Party won the election for a second time, Nigel Clark, when he became finance minister, you heard him in Parliament pointing out to moving away from distortionary taxes. And he was telling you he gave a raft of new taxes that he was going to reduce. And the whole issue of moving away from PAYE taxes to a whole level of consumption tax would have brought the entire Jamaica, both formal and informal sector, into the tax threshold. Into the tax threshold in the sense that everybody would now pay some form of tax, not directly.
Barry say also got crippled squitty. Remember the definition of informal economy? Remember how the contribution big and even them felt it. So the PNP was never good. Continue, Barry.
Right. So basically, so when you look at it, so everybody was now saying that the informal sector was not paying their fair share, and how the PAYE people, what we did as a government, we actually take the burden of one set of people and spread the burden right across the country, where everybody now begin to pay their fair share. So people didn't even realize that they were actually paying taxes. And as such, what we saw was a significant increase in our tax revenue. So we saw a significant increase in tax revenue with no new taxes. And every year, we saw a significant increase in our tax revenue with no new taxes. To the point where this year, of the $1.3 trillion, $1.25 trillion that we have as a budget, 900, and I think it's about $57 billion of that $1.3 trillion budget is going to be funded by taxes collected by the government.
Indirect
protection.
Indirect taxes.
By whether it's going to be indirect taxes and PAY, because we still have some people who pay PAY once you are above the income.
Yeah, tax no. Indirect, yeah.
And squitty,
right.
Why the government are going to have that luxury squitty? The government build out the macro economy. Therefore, the government is collecting more revenue from taxes, squitty, giving the government itself a spending power. Now, when the government has higher spending power, squitty, the government is able to come up with things like this. A national NWC amnesty. So the government can compromise. What is a compromise? Give and take. So because the government has built out the macro economy, the government has managed to collect more revenue from taxes. How? More motor vehicles on the road. The more registered business in the formal economy, the government earns from that through revenues from taxes. So more persons registering small businesses, whether through SME or other farms. These avenues, squitty, the fact that the people them keep so much party is a form of earnings to the government as well. So it's a domino effect. And it provides the government with a higher spending power. And just like an average citizen, the higher your spending power, the more you are able to do. See more or do more. So the same thing for the government. The higher the spending power of the government, the more it is able to do for the people. If the government can come up with a program like Sparks or the REACH program, none of those programs are being funded through grants or loans externally. These are programs being implemented literally through and by our tax-paying dollars. Again, all because the government has done a credible job in building out the macroeconomy, therefore providing itself with more cash flow from revenue from taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So basically, Squitty, so in a nutshell, what we saw is that one small activity in terms of business activity create opportunities for other business activities. Like for example, if a man is going to keep a dance, let's see how many businesses are affected by a dance. One, you have to go buy the liquor from
No,
whoever
not
your
affected, not affected,
wholesalers.
Barry. Impacted.
When I say affected, are
Impact would be a better thing because if it would have so negative,
impacted,
positive.
Yeah.
right, sorry, are impacted, right?
Actually,
So you buy from the wholesale, you buy from the wholesale, this man will transport the liquor from the wholesale, right? Then the people who are preparing for the dance, they need tailor.
Ima go there, man. Ima go there. Ima go right
Yeah,
here.
man, I'm going there. So we look at all the activities. So the meat shop, the vendors who are there,
The hairdresser lady.
the hairdresser, the nail tech, everybody.
The man walk and sell the tights, the man post clothes them.
That's it. So the one dance that is being
And the
kept.
chef have make some money too, you know.
Benefit
it.
more than 5 areas in the informal economy because the chef
in an
don't have a
informal
certificate.
economy.
The
Right.
chef probably don't have a certificate.
Right. So every time you have one of these activities, it creates a domino effect, and a lot of people benefit from this.
Most of the people in the informal economy, average
Most of the
Jamaican
people
make
in
it
the
up.
informal economy, right?
Yes.
And guess what? And most of these items, you'd have actually had to pay some GCT. So if you buy liquor, I think there's some GCT and liquor. If you buy, I'm not sure, but there are quite a number of things. Clothes that you buy, all of these things.
Barry,
Right,
look
they
at
get
Barry, hold your thought. Also, Barry, it provides temporary employment for people, young ladies especially. For example, the dance will require more than one bartender. It will also require assistance and so forth. All of these happening, Squitty and others are people who of the informal economy, unregistered earners.
yeah, definitely.
Right. So an investor in the dance Squitty may spend to put on that dance $100,000. But that $100,000 generate over $1 million in terms of economic activity right across.
Yeah.
And while he is not making that $1 million, there are other people. When you look at the hairdresser, the barber shops, the clothes people, the wholesalers, the meat man,
The man who go the place after the dance, the man who go wash the pot after the dance, the man who clean the venue after the dance.
Yeah.
It generates a lot of spending. And basically, so this is how the whole informal economy benefits the larger formal economy. And so when you don't hear people saying, you don't hear the talk again, the small man is being exempt from taxes and they're not paying their fair share, that don't happen anymore. You don't hear that kind of talk anymore. We want to bring them in the formal system. Reason being, we want them to formalize so that they can get the benefits. Like for example, NHT, NIS, education tax, and whatever other tax they pay. So when you bring them into the formal system, if you get them to formalize their little arrangement, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to pay income tax because they fall way below the threshold. But the tax system will now begin to benefit them if they comes into the formal system. And but it doesn't necessarily mean that if they don't come in, they don't pay. Yes.
I now got to buy and Gusto. Look at this now. Here we are talking about the informal economy. What is? One of the biggest gain of that are going to happen in St. Thomas, you know. We now talk about the urban center, you know. We talk about the spin-off.
Yes, true, that Barry said earlier. Domino effect. Me know what you say, man. Barry call it domino effect.
Yes.
That is the term.
Yeah,
Domino
me say,
effect.
yes, the amount of people in a Squitty, we are going to benefit from the urban center. And I'm not talking about who in an urban center itself in a Squitty. I'm talking about who leading up on the road, leading up to the urban center.
Yeah, the truth, I know.
Leading up
The
to
white plate taxi man, when I want to come out and talk the truth, him a go benefit because quickly, really and truly, the red plate man, them come off on the road after certain time. So the people them a work in the peak hours quickly, and normally white plate man carry them. And them man don't understand say them a benefit from the formal bill out of the economy.
Yeah, man. Same way,
It probably not right, but that's the reality. If you know say them a operate as white plate taxi, but if you just call it what it is, we have to just call it out. Them a benefits quickly. The man run the taxi late at night time, where a white plate they use.
Yeah, domino effect, everything I go get.
Them a benefit from it, quickly. And that Barry tell you, and that's what they tell you. The domino effect, cause what you call, I hit Nigel Clark, they tell them about. And it is happening. Nigel Clark did refer to it as quote unquote trickle down. And the trickle down would have to be felt only in the informal economy.
Yeah.
That's why the term trickle down.
Well, indirect taxation benefits everyone.
Yeah, that will have indirect taxation.
Yeah, PMP will tell you that, okay, tax is going to be on this item and this item, and so the poor people are able to